The Death of the Lone Wolf: Why Black Women Entrepreneurs Thrive in Packs. I want to take you back to a moment that fundamentally changed how I understand success. It was a crisp autumn morning when I sat down with Latoyia Adkins, a visionary leader who has quietly revolutionized the landscape for Black women entrepreneurs across America. As the founder of three successful ventures and mentor to over 200 emerging business leaders, Latoya has shattered glass ceilings while simultaneously building elevators for others to rise. What she shared that morning wasn't just insightful, it was revolutionary. The myth of the self made entrepreneur, she told me, leaning forward with intensity in her eyes, is killing us, literally killing us. High blood pressure, anxiety, depression, failed businesses, all because we've bought into this toxic lie that we have to do it all alone. Her words hit me like a thunderbolt because she's right. For generations, we've been fed a particular narrative about success, a narrative that glorifies the lone wolf, the rugged individualist, the superhero entrepreneur who, through sheer force of will, conquers markets and builds empires. We celebrate the solitary journey, the isolated genius, the one woman show, and it's killing us. It's killing our businesses. It's killing our spirits. It's killing our potential. Because here's the truth that Latoya Adkins revealed: the most significant accelerator for Black women entrepreneurs isn't just personal resilience, though that matters enormously. It's something far more revolutionary: the power of collective ecosystem building. Let that sink in for a moment. The greatest predictor of success isn't how tough you are alone, but how effectively you build and nurture communities that rise together. This revelation shouldn't be revolutionary, and yet it is. Because we've been conditioned to believe in the myth of the self made entrepreneur, the superwoman who does it all without breaking a sweat, the lone wolf who needs no pack. But the data tells a different story, a story of power in numbers, a story of collective rise. Women entrepreneurs control $3.9 trillion in revenue, yet they still face higher loan denial rates and receive significantly less funding than their male counterparts. For Black women entrepreneurs, these disparities are even more pronounced. Only 0.34% of venture capital goes to Black women founders, despite Black women being the fastest growing demographic of entrepreneurs in America. These aren't just statistics, these are systemic barriers designed to keep us isolated and struggling. But here's where it gets interesting and where Latoya's wisdom becomes transformative. Despite these barriers, Black women owned businesses are experiencing remarkable growth, and the businesses seeing the most substantial gains in revenue and influence, they're the ones where leaders focus on uplifting their communities, building networks, and sharing resources instead of competing in isolation. This isn't just that feel good rhetoric, it's backed by powerful evidence. In 2025, at the Women's Business Enterprise National Council Conference in New Orleans, something extraordinary happened. Thousands of woman owned businesses gathered not just to network, but to strategize collective growth. They faced sobering statistics. Only 45% of requested loans approved for female founders versus 55% for male counterparts. But instead of accepting this reality, they focus on building collaborative ecosystems, sharing best practices, mentoring new entrepreneurs, advocating for policy changes. The results: from 2019 to 2023, employment at woman owned firms rose by over 250%, with Black women led companies seeing a staggering 32.7% revenue increase. As one participant put it, we stopped asking for a seat at the table and started building our own damn tables. And then we invited everyone to sit down. This is the power of collective rise. This is what happens when we reject the notion that success is a zero sum game. Consider another powerful example: Gray's Upgrade Her initiative. This program awarded $9,500 grants globally, including to African American led startups to help scale innovative woman led ventures. But the money was just the beginning. What made this program transformative was the ecosystem it created. 4 winning teams received funds plus ongoing mentorship. Nearly 2,000 applications revealed the enormous untapped potential among diverse founders. What began as an Africa focused program expanded globally after recognizing shared barriers faced by diaspora communities, including African Americans. One winner, a Black woman from Atlanta developing sustainable beauty products, didn't just grow her business, she created a supply chain that lifted 5 other Black owned businesses. Her success became their success, her rise became their rise. This is what happens when we invest in ecosystems, not just individuals, and the momentum continues to build. According to Wells Fargo's Impact Report and Global Entrepreneurship Monitor data, startup activity rates among U.S. women rose dramatically post pandemic, with particular acceleration among Black female professionals. Despite underrepresentation in tech leadership roles and persistent gender bias impacting investment decisions, women entrepreneurs found innovative solutions. They leveraged digital tools and social media platforms to launch scalable ventures without traditional gatekeepers. The results speak volumes. Women founded startups now outperform male counterparts on ROI metrics, thanks partly to more diverse team composition. Female startup activity averaged just over 6% pre pandemic, but soared above 10% from 2021 to 2023 as remote work opened doors. Black woman founded firms contributed disproportionately high numbers of net new businesses daily. But here's what's truly revolutionary about what Latoyia Adkins shared with me. Increased representation of successful Black women founders doesn't just drive innovation, it paves the way for future generations by normalizing leadership roles across industries. When a young Black girl sees someone who looks like her building a successful business, she doesn't think, that's impossible for me. She thinks that's inevitable for me. This is visibility that inspires generational change. For too long, we've accepted a narrative that says success requires us to leave others behind, that to reach the top, we must climb over each other, that there's only room for a few at the table. But what if that narrative isn't just harmful? What if it's simply not true? What if the most direct path to sustainable success is actually through lifting others as we climb? What if the strongest businesses aren't built on competition, but on collaboration? What if the most resilient entrepreneurs aren't those who stand alone, but those who stand together? These aren't just philosophical questions, they're practical ones with real world implications for how we build businesses, how we allocate resources, and how we measure success. In what many are calling the soft girl era, we're learning that softness isn't weakness, it's a radical act of self love. And part of that softness is recognizing that we don't have to do it all alone, that interdependence isn't a liability, it's our greatest strength. For high achieving Black women who have spent years in survival mode, who've led teams, raised families, held down households, carried communities, this shift from constantly grinding to finally grounding is revolutionary. It's a spiritual, emotional, and mental recalibration. It's about dropping the superwoman cape, learning to say no without guilt, setting boundaries without apology, resting without explanation, and embracing healing, wholeness, and emotional honesty. But it's also about recognizing that our individual journeys are inextricably linked to collective progress. That when we build ecosystems that support not just our success, but the success of others who look like us, we create something far more powerful than any individual achievement. This is what Latoyia Adkins has shown us. This is the wisdom she has shared. This is the path she is blazing. So, where do we go from here? I challenge you today to examine your own relationship with success. Are you still clinging to the myth of the lone wolf? Are you still trying to do it all alone? Are you still measuring your worth by how much you can accomplish in isolation? If so, I invite you, no, I implore you to consider a different way. What if starting today you reached out to one other entrepreneur who looks like you and offered support, not competition? What if you shared a resource, made an introduction, offered mentorship? What if you built a table and invited others to sit? Because the truth is, we don't need more superheroes. We need more super connectors. We don't need more lone wolves. We need more wolf packs. We don't need more mountains with single peaks. We need mountain ranges where many can rise to their full height. The revolution won't be televised, it will be collectivized. It will happen in group chats and mastermind sessions, in coffee meetings and conference rooms, in the quiet moments when one woman says to another, I see you, I support you, let's rise together. This is our moment to rewrite the rules of success, to reject the lie of the lone wolf, to embrace the truth of the pack. Because when Black women entrepreneurs rise together, we don't just change businesses, we change lives. We don't just transform industries, we transform generations. We don't just build wealth, we build worlds. The question isn't whether we can do it, the question is, will we? I believe we will. Because when Black women decide to move together, mountains don't just move, they dance.